Huh?
That'll strengthen Liverpool if he's gone off.
Yeah.
It looks like you're wearing a Liverpool top there.
Do me a favour.
Oh, what's that? Is that salmon pink? What is it?
It's a red French rugby top. FF, French Federation of Rugby.
Did you check the back there? Does it say made in Liverpool?
Yeah.
Do me a favour.
It's got Stevie G on the back of it.
Does it come in slippy material?
Right, okay, we're ready to go. Hi guys, it's Andy from Man City Fan TV. I'm here with Ray, and finally we've got Walter on. We've been chatting about it for a couple of months, and our paths have crossed and ships have sailed, but finally we've got him here while he's watching the Liverpool game. So guys, thank you very much for coming on. I know we're in different parts of the country. I'm overseas, but got some questions for today. And that is very quickly, I just want to briefly cover the Liverpool game on Thursday night. We were all there at the game. So first goal, Aguero, very briefly. Walter, what was that strike like?
It was one of those strikes where you've not got much area on the pitch or in the goal to strike at. And, you think the goalkeeper's he's done his basics right, hasn't he? And the time and space you get in a box is minimal, especially when you're playing Liverpool. And he's just taken it, and he's wellied it, is the old-fashioned term, on his weaker foot as well. And if that, I'm telling you now, if there wasn't a net in the goal, that would have cleared the stadium. He just thundered that. There's no blame should be attached to the Liverpool goalkeeper. I don't think anyone in the world was going to get that. And if it hit him in the face, he'd have looked like Stevie Bruce.
His movement, I mean, there was the initial sort of contact, Ray. He went down under a challenge from Van Dijk and sort of stayed on the floor. And I think I said in the video we did after the game, I thought he looked up, had a little glance at what was going on, saw that the ball had been rotated out to Bernardo Silva, then got up and made that nice little move. His first touch was phenomenal. Could anybody else in world football score that?
I really doubt it. I mean, when he got up, he was stood between the best centre back in the world in Virgil van Dijk and probably the second best centre back in world football, self-proclaimed, in Dejan Lovren. Yeah. And he just nipped in front of Lovren. So Lovren wasn't, obviously didn't see him. He'd seen him on the floor. And Lovren didn't get a call from Van Dijk. Van Dijk should have told him, watch out for the man, he's coming forward or whatever. He said nothing. Sergio nipped in front. And the way he just flicked it up, it was kind of like spinning in the air. And the way he hits it on the half volley, it's as sweet as anything. It's as sweet a shot you could hope to hit. And I'm not even sure anybody else in world football would be so audacious as to take that kind of attempt on, because the chances of hitting it right, I bet you, is like 1 in 1,000. The way that ball was spinning, hitting it on the half volley, hitting it in that corner. And actually, maybe 1 in 1,000, those odds are too good, because maybe it's 1 in a million. I can't see anybody else even thinking of doing that.
I don't know. I think it's the South American goal. I can see Luis Suarez getting a strike like that, mate.
Messi or Suarez.
I was about to say Messi as well. So, to me, it's one of those low centre of gravity, that you associate with these sort of, for want of a better term, street footballers from South America who are used to getting, playing on the street, and you probably getting lumps kicked out of them when they were 6 or 7 years of age. So to say that no other player, I think you've been disingenuous to say no other player would have scored it. It was just a goal of perfect technique. Yeah. But again, just reminded me, repeating myself, of that South American style.
It was certainly a wonderful strike, and how many times we've seen Aguero. The Liverpool game a couple of years ago. The one from the near the corner flag, the audacious attempt to do the unimaginable. Moving on to Firmino's goal, thought it was a pretty decent move again, but are we, rather than going over there, the goal and what happened, because it was pretty much an open net heading, Are we lacking something in our defensive play whereby this is about the 4th or 5th time now we've been caught at the back post with simple balls over? Walter?
Left back. That's what I feel what we're missing. I looked at, there's quite an interesting video I saw on Twitter. I think it's from Liverpool's Twitter account, and it shows the build-up for that play and the amount of movement that Liverpool just saw. It was very City-like goal in many respects. There was a lot of movement off the ball. There was a lot of sort of real sharp, quick passing. And, it's gone out to Robinson, who's put in a ball that, Mendy-esque.
Is that Mrs. Robinson?
Robertson. Well, it could be Mrs. Robinson.
Could be.
I mean, to be honest, if I could pinch one player from Liverpool, he might be the one, because that's where we've sort of got that real deficiency. People rave about Virgil van Dijk, and rightly so. I got to see him up close quarters, and what a player he is. He's just a supreme athlete as well. And, fair play to Liverpool. They went out and spent big money on him. As I've said before, the one person at City that deserves a spanking, really, is whoever was doing the scouting reports on Denia when he was up in Scotland, and could see this, elite level player.
Yeah. And
whether it wasn't mentioned or whether, lads, you need to get someone up here and have a look at this other fella. We've got Denia there, but his partner, he's going to be something special. And it's not overly difficult to see that, Van Dijk is something special. And Southampton bought for 13 million quid when we were in the market for a player. So somebody needs a spanking for that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Ray, we've spoke about this before. I think we were actually allegedly linked with watching him when he was at Celtic. And like you say, you've got a player there that every single person was saying he's top class. He's serious. But I think possibly if he would have been in the Belgian league or the German league, maybe we might have gone from him. But because he was in the Scottish Premier League, it's like, well, it's a pub league. I mean, it's, he's only shining because. But, I mean, I think a lot of scouts were, Ray, we talked about this a few months ago. A lot of scouts were looking at him saying, he's class.
Yeah, he is.
Definitely. So, the actual moving on to the Sane goal, Raheem Sterling, a lot of credit. Great movement from Sergio Aguero. And what were your thoughts, Ray, on Leroy Sane in the Liverpool game overall?
Overall, you got to be happy. There's a bit of both, because there were times when we felt, and the fella sitting next to me, he was right in my ear all the way through the game about Leroy Sane not being controlling it, not busting a gut. And we saw on the goal that Liverpool scored, Leroy Sane, when the ball was knocked by Robertson, I think over to Trent Alexander-Arnold on the right, Sane was there. He got Trent got the ball, and Sane came out, but he was very lazy about it. Let him turn onto his left foot, and he was literally jogging while the other guy was running, and the guy put the cross in. Now, I think Sane should have stopped that, or at least made a damn better effort to stop it. So that was the feeling that he was either doing something really good, or he was doing something ridiculously poor. And the fella next to me just won, right before that goal, he said, get him off, get Sane off. He's and
well, I have to admit, in that game, you were sat there and we were sat there with Jamal, and the guy in front, me and the guy in front were having a bit of banter about it, and he was saying some things, and I turned around and he turned around to me and I went, "Fucking hell, Sane, come on, you're a liability. What's going on?" And within like 20 seconds, he scored, and he turned around and he went, "What a liability we've got." And I went, yeah, I know. It's one of those, you write something on Twitter, within like 10 seconds, something happens and, makes you look a fool. But, I mean, Sane's got that class. We know he has. It's just sometimes he drifts in and out of games, which can sometimes be a bit frustrating. But I think he's only young and we've got to give him that time. What were your thoughts on Mr. Sorry, Rob, Walter.
He's just been they did the top 10 most valuable young players in the world, and Sané's in there. And I can't think of another team in the world that wouldn't. If we said we're selling Sané, all the top clubs in the world will be lining up to place offers in. This is a guy. It's quite strange with Sané. I feel what kind of game he's going to have within the first 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And when he's good, he's just got. It reminds me of like a panther or something. He's just got that kind of grace and movement and strength about him, and the speed at which he does things as well. So to take Sané off, you got to be. That's fair enough. But who would you be bringing on?
Yeah, I mean it's fair enough. I always look at Sané, and it reminds me of a Thierry Henry figure when he runs with the ball, grace, and he changes direction so quickly that players are so scared of him. But in a Pep team, there's so much more that Pep wants than just somebody who runs with the ball. He wants to make sure that all the players are switched on for 95 minutes at all times. But like I said, he's young, and he's got. I mean, you think at his age now, where's he going to be in 5 years' time? I mean, it's frightening, absolutely frightening.
Wolves have just got
and you who have?
Wolves.
Yes, yay! Get in there. 1-0 Wolves. So. Quickly, Ray, Sterling, penalty or not? Can you hear me?
Yeah. On Raheem.
Yeah, Sterling, was it a penalty or not?
All day long, mate. All day long.
Really?
You can't do that in football. It's not even rugby. It's more WWE. You can't just grab somebody. And we saw actually, Anthony Taylor was it Fulham against Oldham when. Sessegnon grabbed the. It's very, very similar. Taylor's probably the same sort of distance to it, and for Oldham, he gave the penalty, and he was grabbing him like that. So how could he not give it with City? And I think Colin Savage, Press Rich Blue, said something about refs, basically taking the less risky side of things, and just sometimes. Either not giving something or giving a yellow card when possibly a red card should have was a proper call, just to keep the game going. Just to keep, So if City had got that penalty, could have gone 2-0 up. The game's over, and it sounds daft, but it all sounds a little bit plausible too.
But on the flip side of that, though, Ray Walter, is it the right thing to do for a referee like Taylor to make sure the game stays with 11 versus 11? Because we had the Vincent Kompany, whether you agree or not, there was, if you listen to most of the media journalists and pundits, there's probably about an 80-20% split that they think it was a red card. And if you listen to some of the ex-referees, so is he trying to keep players on the pitch? Is he, So what are your thoughts? Sterling penalty, Aguero red card, yellow card, no card.
Well, there was no doubt, absolutely no doubt in my mind that was a penalty. I mean, he's got form for it as well, for taking down. For taking down Sterling. Nothing happening. And I think Taylor was, because he was the Manchester United ref or Altrincham Town ref. I think he just didn't want to give any major decisions, because I don't know if I was in a minority of one, but when Kompany went in for that challenge, it was bang in front of me, about 10 yards there.
Yeah.
And I just thought, he's walking here. That was my first initial reaction.
That's what we thought straight away. Yeah.
And everyone around me going, oh, no, that's a great challenge. That's a great challenge. And I'm looking at it. I'm looking at the ref thinking, this is it. He's going. Yeah. And if he'd have gone down, I mean, the things I took away from the game was that was like two heavyweight boxers. I've likened it to the end of Rocky 2, where you've got Apollo Creed and Rocky just smacking each other. There's no technique. They just end up smacking each other. And they both go down. And then Rocky gets up and, the referee says, you're out. And that must have been very much, what it felt like to be a Liverpool fan in that game, because there's no question in my mind that they're the two best teams in the country.
Oh,
and City put in a performance where you've got Bernardo Silva, who Forrest Gumps it all game, and you've got Fernandinho, who just seemed to be like a brick wall and just, would not move. And we've got Aguero putting in a performance, running his legs off. We've got Company putting in what he describes as the best performance. And we needed that to beat this Liverpool team because it was the fine margins. And it says to me, I was talking to a mate of mine on the way up, and I was talking about Klopp and Guardiola. And the two best teams I've seen at Etihad are Dortmund and Bayern Munich, who are managed by Klopp and Guardiola.
Yeah.
And then the two other best teams I've now seen is Liverpool and Manchester City. And they're still managed. These are two fantastic managers who are both getting incredible results.
Yeah.
And, out of the teams that they've got. And if City, I said before the Southampton game, we could be 13 points behind by now.
Yeah.
The fact that it's 4 points, I'm still looking at this Liverpool team, and the Liverpool team I saw that night, and I'm still thinking, we've got a hell of a challenge, and we've got to keep on rising like this, because if we don't, we ain't winning the league this year. This is two teams within a league that are just fantastic. And, people talk about the quality of the Premiership going down. It's just utter nonsense, because all the Premiership teams are always getting through to the last 16 of the Champions League. And what we need to do as well is take heart from that and learn from what we did against Liverpool and apply that now in the Champions League. Every single game that we're in there, whether that's home and away, Guardiola's got a benchmark that he can turn around to his players and say, you beat Liverpool.
Yeah.
They were the best team in the country, rightly or wrongly, they've got the most points. They were the best team in the country. You need to apply that now. Apply what you learned in that game and apply it to the biggest stage again in the Champions League. It was the best. That was the best quality game that I've seen, and it was the best quality atmosphere at the Etihad I've ever seen. It beat the Hamburg game for me.
Well, I'm gonna move on to the atmosphere just in a minute, but I just think picking up on your point, and I think Company said in this post-match interview with Sky or whoever it was. He said it was the 12th man was guts, and the 13th man was, the crowd. And I think that says a lot about this team. And I think what we needed was not just our silky skills and everything else that we've shown, the wonderful Centurion football. I think what we've been missing this season is a proper challenge and a proper seeing whether this team that walked away with it last year got that real balls, that real, when things are going wrong, have they got the guts? Have they got that, real fight and real desire? And I think that game is going to be such a pivotal moment in the season, because it's showing that we can play all the good stuff. We can play all the 100 points, 106 goals, all that nice stuff. But sometimes when you play against the best teams in the world, like Liverpool currently in the Premier League, your Barcelonas, your Dortmunds, everyone else, you're going to need something different. You're going to need to really dig deep. And I thought that was the biggest thing that came out Thursday nights. It was that every single player was bang at it and didn't care about getting a bloody nose, didn't care about throwing the body on the line. I thought it was an amazing performance all round. But Ray, the crowd.
Oh, fantastic. Absolutely fantastic, mate. I mean, before the game started, the crowd were buzzing. You could feel it outside the ground. You could feel it going into the ground. I took my seat about 30 minutes before the game started. The crowd were already bubbling away. When the Liverpool fans tried to sing that Ale, 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 the City fans drowned them out very quickly. Very soon put them in their place. And pretty much throughout the whole game, the atmosphere was unbelievable. It was electric. The amount of sustained singing that went on, I've never heard that before. Not all game. And, everybody was getting involved. Jamal, who was our friend over from, our Algerian friend who was over from the Middle East, he went bonkers as well, because he really got into it, asking us the words of the song so he could join in, and you know, but it was that infectious. It got you going. It got you on your thinking, and you know, all the way through. As a few of us have said, you had that 5 minutes when Liverpool scored. It's only natural. We're going to be a little bit subdued, and you know, they're shouting as much as they can. But it didn't take long before the City fans got back into it and got back behind our team. And obviously, that's the way we'd want it to be forevermore. It's not going to happen because it was such a special game. But you want at least a decent percentage of that for all games coming up, for all European games. That's the kind of atmosphere you want.
Yeah, I mean, it was hard because everyone was up for the game. I mean, I was personally, I said before in the pre-match interviews we did, and I was actually really excited for the game. Normally, like the derby, you're sort of nervous and it's like, but actually, I had this energy that I was really up for the game, thinking we can really do it. But I really did not expect the actual intensity of the atmosphere. It was so electric around before the game kicked off, during the game, after the game, etc. Walter, where were you in the stadium? What was it like? We were in the upper third tier, so we were only 20, 30 yards from the Liverpool fans. So it was quite interesting watching them be silent for quite a while.
Well, I hope you told Jamal that was a quiet game, and it's normally more buzzing than this.
Yeah,
I'm really into it. I mean, I said this. I noticed it. I thought it was a really good atmosphere at the Southampton game in the away end.
Racer.
What I noticed was it was a real coming together, a sort of defiance, you know. And I remember the Scousers were coming after you as a chant right near the end, and that built a bit of momentum. I almost feel that then brought it home to the Etihad. And then it was like that, but instead of having 3,000 fans in a corner doing it, you had, you know, the 50, 60,000 fans at the home ground doing it. And, you know, we criticise the Premier League for being, and it's a sterile place. You know, you go to most home, you know, I don't care if it's Arsenal or I don't care if it's United. Most of these grounds, it's an entertainment corporate package in many respects, and that's what it sort of turned into. But there's special occasions and there's special times. I remember buzzing when we beat United 1-0 and the Vincent Kompany header.
Oh, yeah.
You know, that everyone was bouncing out of the ground, but it didn't have that sustained atmosphere or that sustained sort of noise for 90 minutes.
Yeah.
Because what I think happened was you've got the crowd who are just completely buzzing, but then you're looking at the players and you're looking at Bernardo Silva. You feed into each other.
Yeah.
And any time there was a lull, even the slightest little bit of a lull, Pep Guardiola was coming along, throwing up his arms, getting the whole crowd. You know, he didn't want that to stop, and he's mentioned it a few times. You know, that he wants City to be more of a cauldron. You know, for teams to come. He doesn't want teams to rock up and it's got this bowling green, and you know the facilities there are second to none. You know, and players must just come along and think this is great. Well, right, let's.
Yeah.
Not only are the conditions perfect for Manchester City players, but they're also perfect then for the opposition as well. So, you know, how do you replicate that? You know, we're going to move on to the Rotherham game, and it was it was completely different. You know, it was night and day. It was the show after the Lord Mayor's show, if you know what I mean. So we just need to replicate that when we need it on the big occasions.
Well, I mean, it shows that we can do it. I mean, it shows that we can do it, and we discussed it in the video we did yesterday, the day before, and we were saying, you know, sometimes when you're watching this City team, sometimes you're so engrossed with the football because it's just so magical that you're not thinking, oh, we need to get behind the team. We need to get behind the team. We need to sort of get this go. You know, like we used to do at Main Road. We had to get behind the players, GM on, or even you know, or Thursday night. You know, when it's needed. It's a lot of the games over the last 3-4 years, or 5 years have been. We've mainly been on top in possession, and it's like, are we really worried about the performance today? Are we really worried that they're going to break away and score? And I think sometimes, we need to remember that we can turn it on, when we need to. And it would be nice to get a little bit more of that going. But moving on to sort of like, we'll talk about the Rotherham, the difference between the Rotherham sort of atmosphere and the Liverpool atmosphere, which was chalk and cheese. But finally, before we do, what's this about Liverpool fan base, this myth? Because we were 20 yards, 30 yards away from them, and apart from 5 minutes after they scored and maybe for a couple of minutes before the game, they were. And I know it's only 3,000 versus a great atmosphere, but generally, even when we've gone to Anfield and gone to other places, you could still hear crowds non-stop. They were literally doing nothing.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, a lot of times when teams come to City and they might only bring a couple of thousand fans, 2,000 or 3,000, you can still hear them. You can hear them on the telly, you can hear them in the stands, because some of those opposition fans, they just keep, whatever's going on, they keep singing and chanting for as much as they can throughout the game. And the Liverpool fans, as soon as they started, if City responded, the City fans responded, the Liverpool fans just give up.
Yeah.
Just hold the white flag, wave it away.
That was pretty much it.
And you get fans from all sorts of clubs who'll come up to Manchester, and regardless of whether the team's drawing or losing, which is normally the case, they'll still give it everything for as long as they can. These teams have come here and got beat 4, 5, and 6, and the fans are still singing. And the Liverpool fans who are in the game, I mean, when you're 1-0 down, you're still in the game, and you're top of the table. You'd think you're top of the table, and you're at your biggest rivals. You'd give it everything for as long as you could, and regardless of the fact that there might be 40-odd thousand home fans singing against you, you still give it a go, and they just give up. I was really surprised that they give it easily.
I must admit, we were singing along and everything else all game, and I was really shocked with the fact that they weren't coming back with anything, no attempts, and that was the thing. If they were drowned out by the City fans singing, fair enough, but they were nothing. They weren't doing anything whatsoever, which is a bit of a surprise, And so I do think it's this cult status, this myth, this whole sort of Liverpool thing. But Walter. You like your social media and your tweets and everything else. We're gonna skip the media because we know the media are just full of shit sometimes. Just have this whole sort of like Liverpool loving. But anything you've come across on Twitter or Facebook or wherever about the Liverpool?
Well, I mean, just going back. I mean, the thing. What you've got, Liverpool fans at the ground, they've not won that Premier. That's their golden grail. The holy grail is to get this Premier League. And I think, honestly, they were shitting bricks. They were nervous, and they could see this sort of. And it's hard to get. You can almost get caught up in watching the game as well. So, like most things, I always think that football fan bases are broad churches, as we know within our own ranks, because there's City fans that you will adhere to straight away, and there's City fans that you just think, what a knob, as soon as you meet them straight away. And that's across the board. I always take social media with a pinch of salt, and there's not many Liverpool fans that I follow, for a start, that I don't personally know. And, there was a Liverpool fan that came on one of my timelines and was trying to sort of, I know him, and he was trying to put forward a case, that joint BBC team. And, City fans were just digging into him. I thought, well, it's like me and him having a conversation at a pub with everyone else overhearing it and joining in. So I tend to take social media as a complete pinch of salt, because I've got people on social media who will be digging out Man City fans for having an empty stadium. And then I look and I think, mate, you've never actually, but it's all part of the same sort of culture. You've never even been to England, never mind being to a game. Get really passionate about your team and, fall in love with what that portrays. Certainly, not fill your boots. But then to start digging out other fans for not going to a game when you've never been to one. So honestly, I know you get involved far more, and you like to get involved in these sort of Twitter spats or scuffles. You are Piers Morgan and Gary Lineker rolled into one.
Oh, cheers, mate. Thanks for that.
That's all right. But I honestly,
but I'll counter that with the fact of a couple of people one guy today who's a big Liverpool fan. I don't know him personally, but he's always really sensible. And we had a sensible conversation today about Foden and the Academy and everything else on Twitter while I was on my lunch break, and he was really sensible. But there's a couple of others that I come across and know quite well, who are involved in football and involved in a lot of like professional side of football, big Liverpool fans, and normally talk a lot of sense and can give you all the stats, fitness records, everything else. And they work professionally within the industry, who talked utter shite about goal line technology, about the ball crossing the line. And it's thinking, how does that change somebody who is so sensible, who works within football professionally, writes about football, has professional sort of like accreditations within football, but then says there's a problem with the line, and it's like there must be something within the psyche that changes somebody from saying objectively, oh, well, it should have been a red card for company, and we might go, it could have been on another day, to then saying, I don't know about this VAR, this goal line technology, and it should be. These are people who are generally sane most of the time on Twitter. Get beat 2-1.
But that's what football does to you in many respects.
Yeah, I guess so.
I mean, it's almost like the joke of I can take the piss out of my sister, but if you try it,
yeah, absolutely.
What do you know?
Yeah.
People, as I always say, it annoys me. I mean, I was sat there at the game and I got watching these guys getting so into it and so angry and so worked up about this game of football. And I'm sat there thinking, if you could show a tenth of that emotion about,
the
NHS, or but not even about the NHS, just any sort, the homeless people that are living in Manchester, and you just think football, for want of a better term or better expression, for me, it's the best form of entertainment in the world, and that's what it is. It's entertainment, and I do love to be passionate about it. I do love to watch it and get engaged in it. But I think, Jesus, to just get that energy and apply it to something that can make real difference to real people's lives.
Does it turn us into kids?
Exactly. That's exactly what it does.
I'm as guilty. I'll put my hands up. I'm as guilty, and me. I like a good debate and argument and whatever else. Whether I'm right or wrong, I'm happy to go there. But I'll put myself out there, so I'm open to saying that. So yeah, maybe it turns me into a kid, and maybe I need to think New Year's resolution. I need to be a bit more sensible in my old age. But moving on.
That's the beauty of it. It does turn you. It's a form. It's a form, and it's not just a form. It's the best form of escapism from all the real shit that's happening in the world. And to get involved and get engaged in that is, it's a wonderful thing to do. But the bigger world sometimes.
Of course, yeah, that's where my life is. The big world. That's where I am. Right, moving on. We're going to move away from sort of the Liverpool game quickly. We're going to talk about the Rotherham game. It was a whitewash, and I always thought it'd be a comfortable win. Didn't think it'd be 7, if I was honest. I thought it'd be like a 4-0. Were you surprised, Ray, at the starting lineup?
Yes and no. I mean, before the game, I was trying to work out who might start, and I thought we might get 1 or 2 more kids. I expected it. I actually said to some of my mates, Edison would start. I thought that because Muric was definitely going to start in the Carabao Cup. I thought we might get a couple more kids, just for the sheer fact that they didn't play in the EDS game. Ravi Matondo. We were really looking forward to him because it was like he didn't play on Saturday. He must be playing on Sunday. And the fact that Eric Garcia played on Saturday, he wasn't going to play on Sunday. So I thought we might just see an extra one or possibly two starts. I think everybody expected Phil Foden to start. But it was a pretty strong team. You know, what was it, 8 changes? But it's still, look at that and say, wow, that's a very strong team as our second string. I mean, it was pretty solid. And so you definitely expected the win.
Yeah, I mean, I was really shocked when it was announced. I was at the ground and was just ready to do a video to announce a team, and I looked at it and I was thinking, Jesus Christ, I really didn't expect that many regulars to play. Certainly didn't expect the likes of Sterling and others to play. But going through pick of the goals, I mean, we've got Sterling, Foden's, we've got the own goal, we've got Gabby on 52 minutes, Mahrez, Otamendi, Sane, Walter. Any of the goals sort of stand out for you?
Not just for any form of technicality at all. My favourite goal, without a doubt, was Otamendi's. Just love seeing a bullet header on a corner.
The general.
City don't do that very often, and we don't even get a lot of goals. But it's just that connect, and and then he turns away, and you'd argue Sterling, what a fantastic piece of skill to set up Gabby Jesus. I heard the term shifting through the gears, and that's exactly what he was doing. The Sane one, I noticed. I was saying with the 7th goal, it came in slight deflection. Michael Cox wasn't tweeting that Rotherham deserved to win the game, and I just thought
we won't go there.
No, to me, we changed a lot of the players, and we changed 8 from the Liverpool game, and we dropped the core of it as well. The players that had played best, you had your company, you had Aguero, who ran himself into the ground, then you had Bernardo Silva, and then you had Fernandinho. So all these players got dropped, but we made
David Silva got
dropped. He was the one disappointment for me against Liverpool, but that's another story. But we dropped all these players, and we rotated the squad. Now, for me, the squad needs to. I'm going to be controversial here and say I'm not overly interested in youth players coming through. If they do, they do. If they don't, they don't.
I'm with you on this. I am with you on this whole argument, because there's the whole issue. I know Ray mentioned he would like to see some more youth players, and I've seen plenty of videos from other people that talk about football and Man City, talk about youth players. But the way I look at it is we've signed all these really, really big players who are happy to rotate, and how do you keep them happy first? So we're going to bring in a load of kids, and then you've got the likes of Gundogan. Oh no, you go home today, Ilkay. You're going to play the kids.
The one youth player I would have played was Muric. I'd have played him, and the reason for that would have been, and being a goalkeeper, you're not going to be overly tired, so you're going to get the 2 games in, and God forbid anything should ever happen to Ederson. I want him to have as much game time as possible to be just not freeze, because it's something that he's used to and he's done on a regular basis. He's about the only one I would have changed. Talking about the youth players, what I would love to see is if you've got a kid and you think, well, they might not get through because City don't play a lot of youth, but then you say to them, you're going to get the best footballing education in the world, and from that you will then be able to go on and have your choice of all these other clubs. You're going to be looked after. You're going to get a fantastic education at St. Bede's. You're going to get, this one-touch movement, this pep-style football is the future, and just because you don't make it at City is in no way detrimental. You are going to have a fantastic opportunity to go on and prove to the world what talent you are. So it is great when one comes through, don't get me wrong, but with the pressure cooker situation of the Premier League, if Pep was to start drop feeding these in, we could lose the league because of that.
Yeah.
And then, you wouldn't have all these, these pundits turning round. They wouldn't mention that these youth players, and the way City are, this could be a fantastic education for the kids. But twofold, the double edge of it is we get a lot of money for these quality young lads. So if we can get them tied down on contracts and get them sold off, get first buyback options maybe, That's how I think. I'm not interested in what's best for one of our youth players. Ultimately, I'm interested in what's best for Manchester City. And if having that academy and using it as a business to bring in extra money and to give these young lads a fantastic education, me personally, it's just winner, winner, chicken dinner all the way around.
Yeah. No, I mean, most of that, I'm with you. But Ray?
Well, what I was going to say was, I think most City fans would love to have some kids coming through, making it into the first team. I think that's the utopian ideal that we'd love.
We'd have 11 Mancs on the pitch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be But we're also sensible enough to know that you've got to displace somebody in that squad first.
Yeah.
And then somebody in the team. Now, and unless you're basically Messi-esque, you're not going to do that for most of them. Foden, I think, will. But you've also, as Walter said, you've got to look where some of the kids that have been at City are going now. You've seen where Sancho's gone. He's gone to Dortmund, top of German league, top club in Germany. You've seen Brahim Diaz, who we're just going to talk about soon. He's gone to Real Madrid. So kids leaving City to go to Real Madrid. And another person in the news left us a few years ago was Denis Suarez. We wanted him to stay. He went to Barcelona. So they're not dropping down into the third division or whatever, or out of football. The best of those kids who don't stay at City are going on to potentially fabulous careers at great clubs all around Europe. So, as Walter said, you're going to get that unbelievable football education where you'll want for nothing. You can you'll be able to turn around and say, I didn't make it as a footballer for some outside reason. It's going to be, from within. I've had everything laid on a plate for me. And I've had that education. If I was injured, I can go and maybe do something academically instead with the education at St. Bede's. So it's the best of everything for these kids. Well,
I mean, I think, we've gone slightly off topic from the Rotherham game. So what we'll do is we'll park the Rotherham game because it was there's not much really to talk about apart from Gundogan's 4 assists, 7 different goal scorers. I was going to talk about, but we're running out of time. But I was going to talk about the whole: is there a better solution for moving City season card holders into shitty seats and can't see a game and all that type of thing? But I think I got quite into a bit of discussion with Parker about that. But
the only other point I'd like to make about Rotherham is how classy the manager was.
He was superb in the post-match interview.
Yeah, his team got spanked, and he was just like, he was happy.
He's happy.
I'm not saying he was happy, but he was happy to be a part of. And it just struck me as the kind of guy who will learn from what he's seen.
Can you imagine him going in upstairs into Pep's, office and having a glass of red wine and sitting down and going, "Can I pick your brains?" Can you imagine that? How much would you pay as a young manager like that to get an education off the best manager in world football? I mean, it's priceless. And when he turned around and he made a comment that our quickest player, their slowest player was quicker than our quickest player across the whole squad. I mean, he made some sort of throwaway comments that were quite witty and things. But, I mean, I agree. I mean, he would have learned so much from that. And I'm sure he'll have a direct line to Pep in the future that if he wants to give him a call or come down to training and watch and learn, I'm sure Pep will be one that'll open it up and say, yeah, come down and, we'll have a chat whenever you want. I agree. I thought he was absolutely fantastic. But on the youth player sort of side of it, if we move on to, we're going to talk about Diaz very quickly. And then the last one is what's that? 1-1. Not Sturridge.
No, it's the perfect result. That we need this to go to a replay.
Yeah, absolutely. That'd do us, wouldn't it? It's an interesting one. Finally, on sort of like the youth team sort of setup, and like I said, we've got to keep big named international players happy as well as not just our starting 11. So it is really hard. I do think you have to have a certain bit of character and a special talent to be able to stick with it and break into the lineup. And like I said, I was chatting to a guy, Liverpool fan, a sensible Liverpool fan, on Twitter, and he was saying, what about Foden going on loan to somewhere like Derby? And I said, Why would he go to Lampard at Derby when he's got the best education from the best coach in the world, and he's already got more game time than he did last season? Remember, this kid turned 18 in May. It's not like he's 21, and he's only a kid. He's a baby. And I said to him, look, a family friend, somebody I know personally from 3 years of age growing up, Ben Woodburn at Liverpool, had the world at his feet at Liverpool, plays for Wales, everything else, gone to Sheffield United on loan, not done anything. They're not even giving him the opportunities. Had to come back and play in the EDS. So our loan system has not been great whatsoever. Maffeo, Angelino, you look at all of the other loan signings that have gone away. When we send these players away, how many have come back and actually played for the first team?
Well, the other thing that I would argue with this is if you loan a player, so if we sent, like your mate's son went to Sheffield United, right? What long-term investment does Sheffield United have in that young man?
Nothing.
So you're there, and the football that's played by Liverpool and played by City, and you've got your Tottenhams and Chelsea and all this, isn't replicated down the leagues. You've got it's an old school British mentality often, and that's not the future of football, and certainly the future of Manchester City. But it's that long-term investment that you would get with the player that you simply don't have if he's not, if he was a Sheffield United youngster, you would look after him because number one, he could do a job for your team, and then number two, you might get a lot of money from him in the long run. You're not interested in, you get a loan player in, can he come in, can he improve my first team straight away? If not straight away, I'm not going to give him the time and energy, and I'm not going to be there coaching him or the same. So the loan system in many respects is flawed, and that's why I know Pep's constantly banging on about the B teams. And as a country, English teams, if they want their youth players to progress the way they want them to, you need these sort of youth teams that that are available across Europe. Yeah. So that's something for the FA to look at.
It's interesting. Because quick before I come back to you, Ray. The quick thing is we send a kid on loan like Nemecha, does really, really well. So he's done really well, but is he going to come back and get in City's first 11? Is he going to get on the bench ahead of anyone else? It's not going to happen. He might do well in a lower league, but it doesn't guarantee the fact that, he's got a load of game time, he's banging in goals left, right and centre, and, he's going to come back to the squad and he's going to... Whose place is he going to take? He's not going to take anybody's place currently in the 20-odd man squad. It's just not going to happen. So I think we have to be, as fans, realistic in respect of, we can either have a squad of 17 world-class players and the rest of them. Who's that? Nevers has just scored.
A worldie.
Yeah. Get in.
About 40 yards out, he's just hammered.
Really?
Oh.
Get in. Wolves. Well, maybe not, because they can concentrate then on just a couple of competitions. But like saying it's like we have a choice as City now. We're at the stage of where we are in world football. We can either have 17 like world class players and fill the rest of the squad with kids. But how's that going to progress us? And it's just not. And we have to be realistic. We're never going to see a class of 92 ever again. It's never going to happen. I don't think. Well,
what I was going to say was, the only player that I can remember coming back and playing for City was Muric, and that's by the sheer fact that Bravo got injured. So it doesn't happen. But we've done many videos on the kids, especially last summer, looking at the loan system. And basically we've decided or agreed that it follows the similar lines to Chelsea. Bring loads of kids in. Get them at cheap values. Brahim Diaz we bought for I think £2.5 million.
Yeah.
And sell them on and make good money. And we're selling him on 15.5 million. So we paid his wages, we paid for his training. He's probably cost City £3.5 million in total. So they're making a hefty profit on him. And it's a business model. It's a business. Telling these kids, I mean, we made money last summer. I think I worked out we sold about 50 million quid's worth of players. That included Joe Hart, was 3.5 million. But mostly it was kids.
Yeah.
And loan fees. Because when we loan these kids out, sometimes we're getting like £500,000 loan fee. So we made about 50 million quid.
But if you look at that, if you look at the Chelsea model, and I was discussing it with somebody else on Twitter the other day, and I said, look, if we can bring in £50 million a year or £60 million a year on these kids and transfers and whatever, that's almost as much as what we'll get from the kit deal.
Yeah.
Per year. That's another Benjamin Mendy. That's another Bernardo Silva. That's another, Kyle Walker.
The other thing.
Paid for.
The other thing is we will get these wonder kids coming through as well. Because what's happening is every year the line is moving up. So 5 years ago the best talent was the average talent was here. Now it's here every year. It's getting up, and you're looking at the quality of the players that are leaving us now. Jadon Sancho, Brahim Diaz. You look at the quality that's leaving, and in the next 2 or 3 years, there'll be kids coming through our ranks who are better than them. I'm sure of it, because we are nicking every year the best players from around Europe. Barcelona in the last 2 summers have lost their best three kids.
Three, I think we've lost.
We'd take Garcia off them. He looks phenomenal. We'd take
a player.
We took from PSG. We took Claudio Gomez.
Yeah.
And so we're taking the best players from the top teams. So we will get someone coming through. But as Walter said, when the kids go somewhere, the loan system isn't great for City if you're sending them off to Sheffield United.
Yeah.
It's when you've got a link like we've got with NEC Breda in Holland, where we're sending them 4 or 5 players every year. And we had this injury. We needed Muric back. And we just said to NEC Breda, we want him. Here's £1 million or whatever it was. We want him back. Breda are actually going to probably get relegated this season. We've got that link with Girona.
That's how great our academy is.
Yeah. Well, that's how great it is. But we send them 4 or 5 players every year. Okay, probably only 3 of them get regular games. But that's so we're using these other leagues as our semi-B team by having 3 or 4 players play regularly. But I actually I like the idea of selling players, selling them at a good price to the buying club. So when we sell Maffei or Angelino or Denier,
we'd sell on clauses.
We sell them for whatever, 7, 8. We'd sell on clauses, buyback clauses, stuff like that. So that if the kid makes it, we'll get some more money out of this. So, generally that's the only time that's not worked, which worked for us, was with Kelechi Iheanacho. We sold it for 25 million quid. The buyback, 50 million quid. Leicester are crying right now.
But
I prefer the
player we've ever sold.
What's that?
Yeah.
He's the most expensive player we've ever sold.
Yeah. It's amazing. It's amazing, isn't it? I mean, with the kids system, and we could do a whole video just solely on the academy system and the rights and wrongs, and everyone will have their opinions, and rightly so. We've all got our opinions on the academy and what we think we should be seeing and what we shouldn't. But if we move on just from the academy side of it and move on, Walter, Brahim Diaz obviously sold to Real Madrid. We knew it's been going around for the last month, 6 weeks, and it's finally been announced, and he's moved for 15.5 million. It can go up to 22.5 million. Thoughts? It's one of the. I do understand, like Sancho, not a lot we can do. We've offered him the contract. He don't want to stay. Fair enough. But your thoughts on Diaz? Could we have done more?
I've not seen enough of him, and I've not watched him at youth level, by the way. I've only seen him making his first in the first team. I've not seen enough of him to think he's going to make it. At Manchester City, and I just seem to think I'm not quite sure how he feels he's going to make it at Real Madrid. And to be honest with you, 100% don't blame him. Why? Because he's a Spanish lad.
Yeah.
And he's going back, to the biggest, or arguably the biggest club in the world.
Okay.
You get one shot at this, and you just think, well, nice one. Sancho was there, and he was very much for me, Team Sancho. Because he came from Watford, so he got the opportunity at Man City, he got that education, and then he's thought to himself, well, hang on a minute, I want to improve me as a player, and he's gone out again, and we've got good money for him. So again, it's that business model that you're looking at. I know that there's talk of bringing it down to you can only loan out 6 to 8 players.
Yeah.
Now that could have a big effect, a short-term effect. If they bring that in just as a right, this is all you can do, there's going to be a fire sale at a lot of top clubs, and you're looking at the other teams in Europe, and we're not talking Mickey Mouse teams. We're talking big teams are casting their eyes at this young golden generation of English talent and thinking, well, if they're not getting a go there, come to us. And I think that's fair enough. And I think a lot of English players, because of the money in the Premiership, haven't gone abroad and got that bit of education that you would get somewhere else. In many respects, like with us, we've gone to the Spanish model. We've imported the Spanish model to Manchester City. And that's the only way they were ever going to get a sort of an education into Spanish football.
Yeah.
So I just think that it's going to be interesting times, especially if they do the 6 to 8 players. Fire sales at City, Chelsea. There's going to be a lot of bargains to be had there. And, best of luck to all these young lads.
But I mean, it's just before we move over. I mean, just on the Diaz deal. I mean, if we've been discussing the fact of Foden, we had Foden, Diaz, and Sancho. Obviously, Diaz has gone, Sancho has gone, and we've had a lot of positive comments. The fact that Phil Foden says, and we've discussed it, the fact that he wants to train around the best players in world football. Can you blame Brahim Diaz to go and train with the likes of Toni Kroos, Luka Modric, Gareth Bale, Benzema? Ramos, you can just reel them. I mean, these are world-class players. I mean, we're talking world-class Galactico players. All right, they might not have the manager of Pep Guardiola, but can you blame the kid for wanting to at least have a go? I mean, who's to say, around the likes of, like I said, Ramos and Marcelo, and, Modric, Ballon d'Or winners, and you can't really blame him, and whether he was good enough to break into the 11 is going to be, we'll all have differing opinions, and we can argue all day long. We'll never know because he did break into the 11 at the end of the day. But you can't really blame him for getting that move, in my opinion.
His boyhood club was Real Madrid.
Yeah.
So today he's come out and said, I had 3 when I was leaving. So
Real
Madrid.
Yeah.
Real Madrid. So there you go.
And we get 15.5 million for him. So
yeah, I mean, I saw him, I think, about 3 years ago playing, and I thought at the time, I said, this kid's going to make it. This kid's going to be a star. I mean, okay, it was one goal that was unbelievable. He just left people, I think, a couple of guys on the seats of their pants, dribbling past 3 or 4 players and slotting it in. But when he's played for the first team, he didn't look, obviously, as good as he did 2 or 3 years ago, because obviously the standard's higher. And I think also he's been trying too hard to make an impression. And I think that's a risk for the kids.
Yeah.
You only 1 or 2 games, every month you'd be looking to get a game. You might just get a couple of cup games in the first 3 months of the season. So you try too hard, you make too many mistakes, or you don't play your natural game. But,
I mean, my lads. Whenever I talk about academy kids, my 2 lads, who are 21 and 19, they always go, "Oh yeah, what do you know about academy kids?" You turn around and went, Denis Suarez is going to be a world star. You said Juan Rahman is going to be one of your favourite players. I mean, we're going back to, but because when you see him at academy level, at like 16 years of age, you look at him and think, wow, what a player. Where's Juan Rahman? Nowhere, and not really pulling up any trees, but they look so good at such a young level. But once they take that step up to proper men's football. It is a different beast. It is an absolutely different beast, and I just wish him all the best. And I hope, you know, yeah, I hope if there's a buyback clause and he becomes the next sort of, you know, Luka Modric or Lionel Messi, then we can get him back, and because he seems to obviously have a love for Man City. So you know, wish him all the best.
That he looked. This talk he's going to take number 21.
Yeah, David Silva's number.
And one of his best friends at City, I found out today, was Aymeric Laporte.
Yeah,
they spent a lot of time together because a French guy, Florian, sent me a video that he'd done of spending time with Laporte, and they went. So he spent, I think, a couple of days with him. He went over to, and Laporte said one of my best friends is Brahim Diaz. So he went to see. They went over to Brahim Diaz's house and everything else. And I will say it's a good video. It's really good 15-minute insight into Laporte, and he does. You can see sometimes he's a bit intense and a bit far away. But I did tell Florian is a jinx, because the game he came over for was a Palace game where we got beat, and he said before the game, "I'm a jinx. We don't win when I'm here."
No, tell him not to take him. Yeah, keep him away.
I told him next time you come to Manchester, give us a shout. The next time he comes to Manchester, I'm going to meet him at the airport, put him in the boot of my car, leave him in the car park for 3 days. He misses the game, we win it, and then I'll let him go.
Yeah, absolutely. But anyway, moving on to Wednesday. I'm still away. I'm only flying back while the game's on, so I'm going to miss it. Ray, you're missing it. My lads are going on behalf of Man City Fan TV. Hopefully get some interviews before and after the game. But Burton, Walter, any other kids you'd want to see? Anybody you think might? And what difference to what we put out on sort of, what day is it? Yesterday, Rotherham game. Anyone else coming in?
We don't play for 5 games. What I'd like to see, ultimately, is going in with just an absolute top 11, wiping the floor with them, and then after 70 minutes, start taking out Aguero's and all this, and then just put out. Then you can give the proper kids a game when you get to
second leg.
Yeah, just kill it. You know, like we did with Southampton, or not Southampton, West Ham.
West Ham.
And then we sent to Grado when he got himself injured and was never the same player again.
Yeah. Ray?
Exactly. That's exactly my thoughts. Best team. Make sure that we don't have to put the best team out in the second leg. And I think that's generally what Pep will do. Pep said Muric is going to start, which I think is fair dues. But put the best 11 that you've got available fit on that pitch. Get 4 goals ahead, whatever it's going to be. Whether you introduce the kids or not in this game, I'm not that worried, to be honest, even as a sub. I just want us to nail this game, put it to bed, put the whole tie to bed. And when we do go over to their place, we can say, right, the best 3 kids, you're going to play.
Okay, so final point is, so you want to play, you're going to have, you do realise you're going to have people that are going, you're absolutely crazy. What if we get injuries? What if we do this? What if we do this? So, Muric or Edison?
Muric.
Right, so not our best keeper. So not our strongest.
Yeah, but he's promised, it's like
Phil Foden plays or not?
No.
No?
In the second leg.
Yeah.
Right.
I'll say no. If Phil Foden is in our best 11, he plays. He's not.
So he's not going to play Wednesday.
On the bench.
Gabby Jesus plays or not?
Aguero.
Oh,
that's the best team possible.
Wow. So you're going to go for an absolute full-on best 11.
I might make the odd concession. I might let Walker play instead of Danilo. I'll save Danilo.
Ooh, that's harsh. That's harsh.
I like Danilo.
I like Danilo, but he's like my best player. Let's not forget Walker was in player of the year, team of the year last year. So yeah, he's had a few dodgy, and he's not been as good as he was last season. But like I said, I think he needs a rest, and he's had a bit of a rest. Maybe he needs a bit longer. Maybe keep Danilo in there. But anyway, listen. Who knows what's going to happen? We can never second guess what Pep's going to do.
It's true.
Who's got a clue? We could end up with 11 academy kids for all we know. But listen, I want to say a massive thanks to Walter for coming on. Finally got you on. Before you go, what's the score at the moment?
2-1. They brought on Salah and Firmino, and they just hit the impact inside of the post, which was an amazing effort free kick. And it just, instead of going along the line, it just kind of, and it didn't go in. So it's still 2-1.
How long left?
18 minutes and any injury time.
Oh, come on! At least get an equaliser. Yeah, get a draw.
Against Rotherham, there'll be no injury time. You know, there were only 4 goals and 6 substitutions.
I know, and there was nothing, was it? It was 90 minutes. It was the ref going.
It was a mercy killing.
I think the problem was we turned around and went, "We want 10. We want 10." And that was it. You went, "You're not getting 10. 90 minutes, we're off." Anyway, listen, guys, thank you very much. This is Andy from Man City Fan TV and with Ray from Man City Fan TV. And I want to say a massive thanks to Walter. Don't forget, subscribe, click notification, and we're putting you videos out every single day. But we'll see you, on the channel after the game, the Burton game. And hopefully we'll get some videos out before and after. So, guys, thank you very much. Have a great evening, and we'll see you soon.
Can I say one last thing?
Go on, if you quit.
You didn't ask me about the best goal at Rotherham. It was Mahrez, because I've had so many unpleasant comments today about my video on Mahrez.
Well, you said it was an easy tapping. Yeah, you said it was an easy tapping. Which I know it was one of them. So I know exactly what you were doing. It wasn't an easy tapping. For the Algerians, it wasn't an easy tapping. I thought it was a good finish and a great move. So ignore Ray. I'm on your side. Ray's obviously against you. I think everyone keeps saying, is he Moroccan? No, he's not Moroccan. But anyway, we'll leave it there, guys. Yeah, thanks very much, and we'll see you soon.